Men need family, women need community. Family, there are no options, right? There are no choices. You can't help who your mother is. You can't help who your siblings are. You can't even control the kind of child you will have, right? But with community, you get to pick, choose, and refuse who you connect to, who you surround yourself with. And that requires a different skill set that women are naturally born with. And due to, conditioning and not ascending out of out of their, not male nature, out of their nature, right? There are things that are not conditioning. It's just that women have not been taught better. Because at our core, we're animals and we operate from survival mode when we are not taught how to ascend out of that animalistic nature. So again, everything's not conditioning. Some things are you just were not taught, right? Like you have to teach children how to eat with utensils. You put them in a high chair and they go for things with their hand. That's not conditioning. They never were taught how to eat with a knife and fork and a spoon, right? So when men try to guilt you for not having children, for not being married, for not aligning with or subscribing to what they need, just know it's a projection, right? People have to be forced to be with men, right? Men say, oh, women are not like our grandmothers, because our grandmothers were forced to be with our grandfathers. Oftentimes they didn't love those men, right? Because women don't need that. Women need connection through community. In order for men to ascend in the structure they created, they have to partake in things that they respect. One of those main things is family. You're almost never going to see the head of a Fortune 500 company, a bachelor being the head of a Fortune 500 company. You're almost never going to see that, right? You're never going to see like a high-ranking officer, whether it be in the you know branches of military or law enforcement or whatever. Those men are not. Those men are married, right? You only see bachelors like when they're like rich. Like you'll see rappers or athletes where their talent takes them where they need to be. When you are in the real world, right? When you are climbing the corporate ladder, whatever you do to get to the top, that requires you to adhere to what's acceptable. Bachelors are not trusted. Single men are a danger to society. Single women are not. The only danger single women present to society is not giving single men access to them, which creates incels. Right? A single woman doesn't is no threat to society. She's not violent to society. And oftentimes she's happier and thrives better when she is single. A woman can climb the corporate ladder and not be married. You know why? Because she's not a threat to society. She's not a threat to the company, right? And a woman could remain entry level at her job and won't be looked at as a loser like men do, right? Men operate in the ways that they do for the most part because of what they created amongst each other. Men are competing amongst each other. Right? So a woman could be the head of a company and be single or divorced, and nobody, they may look at her like something is wrong with her, right? Because, you know, people want to know what's wrong with you when you don't have a man or when you're not married. Right? I was talking about this fella that unfollowed me after he was living in my DMs. Uh, he said, you know, when you see a woman and she's single, or she never, or you don't see a man, something is wrong with her. Something is wrong with her, which is bullshit. But in the male world, something is wrong with him if he doesn't have a woman. Right? And because he doesn't have a woman or he's not married, he's not going to be considered for certain positions. He cannot ascend. Men cannot ascend unless they are married. Because society knows, and men know, what happens when they don't have a woman at home to sleep with and to live with in these things. Men can't function productively like that. Most men cannot. A lot of what women are subscribing to is to support men in getting where they need to be in the structure that was created for them. Women need to be in community, right? What we share in community is different than what we share with family, because being in a community is a choice. I choose to be your friend, right? I choose to be your bestie, right? When we're talking about healthy women, mentally, spiritually, right, emotionally healthy women, I choose to be around certain people. That's how it's supposed to go. We're supposed to choose men. Men desire, women choose. But they warped things because in order for them to be successful, right? In order for them to function, first and foremost, before success, they need to have women. Men need women. They don't need you, right? So a man will be with a woman, not marry her, but then meet somebody and marry them in 2 weeks. Why? Because eventually a man has to settle down. The average man cannot be a bachelor for the rest of his life because he can't afford to. Most men are limited, right? Their salaries are capped. Their money is limited. They can't keep courting women for the rest of their life, right? They don't have 50 Cent's money. 50 Cent don't ever have to get married, but he's also a self-made mogul, right? So men like that are anomalies. Most men have to play the game that was created for them to play in, and they need your participation. So I was talking about marriage, right? And oftentimes you have to participate in the game in order to win, right? Now, marriage in and of itself is not a win. It's a participation trophy in the game that men created, right? Winning is to change your social status because of the man you married, because of his last name. Most men don't have that type of clout to change a woman's life. They don't have the resources, they don't have the connections. They don't have it. Most women are just marrying average men with last names nobody knows, right? Their last name holds no weight, right? So most women are not winning with marriage. They're just participating because the title wife garners more respect, right? And it's not that men respect marriage. Men respect men. And how they participate in what was created for them. You have men who got wives at home and they choose to partake in other things, right? Things they shouldn't be partaking in. Why? Because, and it's not that men respect marriage, it's that men respect other men, and they respect when you participate in their game and you are winning, because for them, marriage is winning. because of the structure that was created underneath them or for them, the structure of patriarchy, right? Which has to force women to be with them, right? Natural selection was tampered with. Men say, like, women are choosing from the same batch of men, and they make these men seem to be like the bad guys, which is not necessarily so. If all women can choose wealthy men who can change their lives, we would choose them, right? Women choose certain type of men, criminals or whatever, because of the strength and the brawn and the masculinity that women see, right? So if we were able to choose what we were sexually attracted to, what we are naturally attracted to, which is protection and provision, most men couldn't give that. So they had to create things to make women be with men. And men in positions of power did that because they know they couldn't have a bunch of average men running around with no women. All the women would choose the powerful men. Right? All a man has to do is become super duper successful and he gonna have access to women. He can be a goofy, he can be a cornball, but if he's successful, that shows stability. Take, for instance, men in uniform in any capacity, whether it be military, law enforcement, firefighter, whatever it is. The uniform signifies stability. The person in the uniform could be a complete fucking moron. He can be a loser, a goofy, a cornball. He could be unintelligent. He could have weak seed. But women see that uniform and they see benefits, they see strength, they see stability, and those men can have women. Right? So, and women will look beyond looks. There's a lot of ugly men who have women. A lot of overweight men who have women. Men who have bad knees and bad backs and they have wives, right? So women will look past certain things if men meet certain requirements. Again, what a lot of women are participating in is a game that men have to play in order to succeed. A game they was born into. And the trade-off is the illusion of fantasy and fairy tale. He chose me. I got the ring. Right? He's a protector and provider and all these things. When most men cannot provide a lifestyle for women. They can't. 70% of wives work. I believe around that number. Right? Most women are not living luxurious lifestyles because most men can't afford to do that for their women. I have yet to see a wife, an average woman, live a lifestyle that I envy. And envy meaning I want to live like that. So to go find a husband to provide that for me. Most men cannot do that. Most of us are just around average men. Most men don't even make $100,000. So they're not providing in the ways that women, that should give women an incentive to trade their life to bring life in the world for them. Because that's what you're doing. You're trading your life for what he can provide. And you're still contributing because you still got to work. You still got to do all these things. Right? So it's not a fair exchange. It's a robbery. But women are sold this illusion of family that we really don't need. What women need is community. And usually community is very strong because you choose the people that are in it. Right? So it's like a neighborhood, right? Who has a community board and people you choose, right? The board of your apartment, right? We choose who we want in our community. The standards are different. With family, you have a baby. You sleep with this person, or that's your mother. That's your father. You had no choice in any of the matter. Right? So the veil is being lifted for a lot of women. And a lot of women are not liking what they're seeing, what they're realizing. And, that's usually what happens with truth. But the truth sets you free, right? The truth is armor so that you can go into things with a clear head because this ain't that. With the truths that women are being shown, right? They can make more informed decisions. See, men who would be rejected if we were operating under natural selection doesn't want you to have choices, because oftentimes we would not choose the men that we have access to, that we're in proximity to, right? When you start thinking differently, you start saying, you know what? This is really just for companionship. He really can't do much for me, but I like him, or he has potential, right? Or he's on his grind and he's really building, he's doing what he need to do. You need to go into things like that. Not like, oh, this man is going to save me. Most men can't save you. They can't save you from shit. They don't have the connections, the resources, the influence to change your life or to save you. Most average men do not. Or you can say, you know what? I prefer to live a certain type of lifestyle, so I'm going to start presenting myself a certain way for those kinds of men. Like, you got to really start thinking, because the risk you take is bigger than men. It's literally a life for a life with us. You lay on that table to give birth, and your giving birth could take your life. So a man can have a family, not a legacy. Children are not a legacy. Most men will die with no legacy. Right? So there's really a lot at stake here. Don't get into something with a man because you want a family, right? Because you don't even really know what you're getting, right? And know if you want a family, or do you just want community? Do you just want to be loved and share and honored in these things, right? With structure and parameters and boundaries and the things, right? Communities is not all just fun. You really got to know what you're getting yourself into, because you better believe men know. And it's all to serve them. It's all to benefit them, which I ain't mad at. But what are you getting out of the deal?